Hello, my name is Melanie Wesley, and welcome to the Salon Social Podcast. On today's episode, we are joined by Raymond Torregano III of the Torregano Group. Raymond embarks on his fascinating journey and evolution, from his humble beginnings as a skilled barber to becoming the revered proprietor of a bustling salon and an influential YouTube educator. He discusses the challenges he faced, including the impact of events like 9/11, Hurricane Katrina, and the housing crisis of 2008. He emphasizes the importance of taking risks, leaving ego at the door, and staying committed to your passion. Raymond also uncovers the challenges and triumphs that have shaped his trajectory, and we delve into the profound impact of building a vibrant community. Prepare to be inspired and gain valuable insights to fuel your own growth in the ever-changing beauty landscape. I hope you find key takeaways from my conversation with Raymond, and I am forever grateful to you for lending me your ear. Until next time, be good, be true, be you. Welcome to the Salon Social Podcast. My name is Melanie Wesley. I am your salon experience consultant. And today we are joined by the amazing Raymond Torregano III. So let me just do your proper introduction, Raymond. Raymond is the founder of the education consulting agency Torregano Group. He is the creator of the Tribe membership, which is an online streaming video education platform that's engineered specifically for hairstylists and salon owners. Now, hairstylists can learn anytime, any place with exclusive on-demand video education, and it's accessible directly from their smartphone from anywhere in the world. Raymond leads his team at the Torregano Group with a simple and clear mission statement: better brands, better business, better lives. That is an amazing tagline. Welcome, Raymond. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us today, to educate us today, and because I know you're doing all the things. But before you get into your story and we start talking, I just kind of wanted to tell you a quick story about the fact that I feel like you and I were destined to meet, because about 3 or 4 years ago, when I was a full-time hairstylist, I was talking to one of my clients about wanting to transition to a different, I love the field, the career of hairstyling, but I kind of wanted to do something different and not just be behind the chair. And your name was the first name that she mentioned. She's like, "Oh, you gotta hook up with my boy Raymond," because she also was from the same town that you're from. And she was like, "You got to talk to him because he was, he's been doing hair forever, and now he's educating and he's doing this and he's doing that." But at the time, I didn't know exactly, what angle I wanted to take, what approach I wanted to take, what I wanted to do. And I felt like if I wasn't sure, until I was sure, I really didn't want to approach you and not know where I wanted to go, where I wanted to take this. And so fast forward, probably about a few months ago, I was talking to another client of mine, completely different person. And at this point, I kind of had a better idea of what I wanted to do. I know I wanted to do the podcast and all that kind of stuff. And she brought up your name again. I'm like, I gotta talk to this guy because this is the second person, don't even know each other, that mentioned your name and said that you are the one that I need to get with. So again, I really, really am excited to have this conversation with you today. So welcome, Raymond. Welcome. Hey. Please tell us a little bit more about you.
Oh man. So first of all, can you hear me loud and clear? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Awesome. So I'm excited to be here, Melanie, and I am. Although we're all busy building, I love to take the time and to kind of pay it forward, because a lot of people did what seemingly I'm doing today. They did it for me, and I have a live broadcast inside of my education that I'm going to be having next Wednesday. You're welcome to come. I'll give you access to that. Yeah, so interviewing people and hearing people's stories is a big part of what I do. So I love to share mine. Believe it or not, don't get a chance to tell my story very often because I'm typically the one doing the interviewing. So it's always good to share because I'm at a point in my career where I realize I can teach people from what I know, but I could also teach people on where I've been. And
Yeah.
I think those two people, I think you mentioned to me was Amika and Dewan. And both of them are special people in my story. Amika and I, one of my first real jobs, we worked together. And she's one of my first supporters as a stylist, her mother, and her daughter.
Yeah.
And Dewan, I was at Dewan's wedding.
Wow.
So I was at her wedding and I was good friends with her husband at the time. And so she was, the pretty girl around town and always inside of the industry as a model, but a sweetheart. So I appreciate them, name dropping myself. It doesn't, I don't ever want to make that common. I appreciate people believing that in me. So I am Raymond Torregano III, guys. And to your community and to you, I like many people, I'm a hairdresser, man, at my heart.
Yeah.
It's what I've done my entire adult life. And I really benefited from what I call like a silent business partner. But I benefit from a silent business partner being the internet. I had a very unique, I just did a episode of my own podcast the other day, and I just kind of mentioned how we're really lucky to be born in this time because there were hairdressers in the 80s and the early 90s and the 70s that had just as much ambition and they wanted to do things. They just didn't have this unbelievable venue of the internet.
Yeah, that's true.
So I started as a barber and I was, cut hair growing up, and a friend of mine at the time, I was dating this girl. And she stood next door to a guy that owned one of the more popular barbershops in town. So he was coming over trying to holler at her roommate. Over there visiting her. And he was like, hey, man, he was older than me. And he said, look, you can come sweep. And, I was excited. I was 18, 19. And he let me sweep the floors. And 'cause I always knew that cutting, I had my box of clippers, old K-Swiss box of clippers. I was always connected to it. I was always fascinated when people cut my hair when I was younger. And I grew up an art kid, so I figured I could do it. Long story short, that sweeping turned into a chair. I was kind of one of the young hotshot barbers at the time. I still didn't have a license. So shout out to everybody out there that's unlicensed. I was there. I was a renegade too, running from the state board for about 2 years. And he was like, look, man, you got to go to school. You can't keep running. So the only thing that was available was cosmetology. And so, so much of my path is serendipitous. My intention was just to go for cosmetology because it was so similar to barbering and come back and work in the barbershop. But something happened when I was in school and I realized like, oh, wow, I've been drawing my whole life. So I knew lines. I understood red, yellow, and blue with color. I didn't know how to roller set, but I understood hair color. I didn't know how to make a clean part, but I understood what a 90-degree angle was.
Right.
So the, male chauvinist knucklehead boy in me thought, well, I'm not about to work in a salon.
Yeah.
But getting $20 in the barbershop, that didn't make sense anymore because I saw what was happening in the salon. So I moved to a salon, a beauty and barber salon.
Yeah.
And right around this time, it's about 2000. I had my license at this time. And something, there's a couple of different things that happened in time. The towers fell. And I'm in Columbus, Georgia.
Right.
So I'm originally from New Orleans, but I moved to Georgia in middle school. And we moved to Columbus, Georgia after coming from Atlanta. So I was up there in Atlanta too, in Marietta for high school. Yeah. So I'm a Wheeler Wildcat. Wheeler. Yeah.
All right.
But I came down here my senior year. So I've been here most of my life.
Okay.
And the towers fell. And I literally was working at a salon on Fort Benning Road. So all of my clientele was military, and it was like they just vanished, Melanie, in like a night.
Oh, wow. Because they were all called to war.
All of them.
Yeah.
Everybody. This is 2001 when the towers fell in New York. It was like a weird, I remember I came to the salon at 10. I kind of slept through the towers. I never forget. And everybody was looking at the TV. I was like, what's going on?
Right.
And they said, man, you haven't heard? I was like, nah, man, I was rushing to get here. I had at 10:30. And they say, man, they didn't crash into the towers. I didn't realize that was going to be a very pivotal point in my career because now all my barber clients left. So it was kind of like the universe saying, time for you to go straight into cosmetology because their wives were behind.
Right.
So went full-fledged, switched over to booth rent, which was about $75 more.
Oh,
I'm
and what you
23.
were paying.
Yeah. I don't know nothing. Uh,
Yeah.
so I was an independent hairdresser, bouncing from salon to salon, trying to find my way. I didn't last long in that salon. I also dealt with, and maybe one of your listeners, they may deal with this, and it's tough. When you are, you got phenom energy, or you're ambitious and young, if you're confident, sometimes that gets looked at as cocky. It's not always accepted.
Right. Very true. People take it as a threat too, sometimes.
So I was that. My story, if they had to make a movie of my life, the music would be really rough right now, right? Because I didn't fit. I didn't fit here. People were threatened. I was supposed to be out partying or at Daytona Beach or at Freaknik or something. And I was behind a mannequin at 24 and 25.
You were focused.
I'm an only child. And I was trying to make it happen. And I knew barbering wasn't going to be the thing. So I started to get my groove, but I kept running into issue, man, with salon owners and people that just we weren't aligned. In hindsight, it's a hard job. I just knew all of this was a part of my story. So at 27, I was going to get lunch at Subway, but I kept passing this building every day. From the salon that I was working in. This was my 5th salon at this point in about 6 years, which was just bouncing around is no fun. And I was cool with the salon owner up until that point. Another thing that happened was Katrina.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, now we're in 2005, and my cousin moved out here younger than me and opened up a business. And up until that point, I wasn't even thinking about it.
Yeah.
And he was like, look, man, I'm going to open up my tattoo shop here in Columbus. I'm like, you opening up a business at 25?
Right. Who's thinking like that?
Who's thinking like that? So in a lot of ways, he was my younger cousin, but he was really like an older mentor in a lot of ways because it pushed me to say, well, maybe I could do it.
Absolutely.
So saved my little money. I was working platform artistry at the time for a company and saved all my little coins. And I had about $5,000. And I said, let's open up a salon. Smiles now because I didn't know what I was doing, Melanie. I was just out there, girl.
You know that saying, ignorance is bliss? Sometimes
it was ignorance and bliss on fire. And I didn't have any responsibilities. I wasn't in a relationship. I didn't have any children or anything. So it was like, all right. And I opened up, came from New Orleans. I was really into music. And, I was fresh off of Outkast, and fatigues on and crazy color sneakers. And I was like.
But you know what? But you had the courage.
Yeah.
Like you had the courage to do it. And even though you didn't know you didn't have all the answers, like you still went ahead and did it. That's really huge. That's one of the biggest things that really prevent people from taking risks because they feel like they have to have everything aligned before they do whatever they need to do, or they don't get a clear sign from the universe and they can't. Sometimes, like Steve Harvey says, sometimes you just got to leap, right? So kudos to you for realizing this is not working and I need to take control of my destiny and I got to make this work. So here's what I'm going to do. And you did it. So like, that's amazing. We get into this hamster wheel and sometimes you got to look outside of your comfort zone and kind of take risk and do things that may be a little scary, but in the long run, it pays off, right? Because I'm sure, looking at you now, like your story is very rich, but like, look at where you are now. Like if you hadn't, what would it be like today if you hadn't taken the chance that you did when you were 25 to open up your first salon?
Yeah. So listen, I couldn't have said it better, and there really wouldn't be it today. What is happening now? As early as a coaching call this morning, I'm literally pulling this morning from a young lady in Boston, Massachusetts, education that I learned 15 years ago. So there is, I see people's similar stories. I'm a big documentary guy, and there's always this part in the documentary where luck and chance or risk, like you said, and it's kind of ironic that you mentioned that about Steve Harvey. I was at he launched that book at Essence, and he and Lisa Nichols was talking about Jump, and and I was there for that, to hear that, and it was so it hit home with me. Because I had I had a client at the time, and I kept talking to her about what I wanted to do, and she eventually became my assistant. And what I know now, in 2006, the summer of 2006, a year after Katrina, and it was so funny. My cousin was about to turn 1 as far as his salon, his tattoo shop.
Right.
And I just, we're competitive, so I was like, nah, I'm gonna open up before you. And before your anniversary, and our businesses were like sister businesses for 10 years, but his anniversary was December 1, and I opened up the day after Thanksgiving. Like, at least I'm gonna beat you before
your year.
I opened up within the same year. So the day after Thanksgiving was our anniversary for 10 years, November 26th. And I just opened up, 1 chair, 1 sink, hand painted sign, using my Cricket phone as So when I hear people that need $20,000-$30,000 at the beginning, if you got that, that's awesome. But that doesn't make a salon necessarily, because we were open.
Right. That doesn't mean you're going to be successful either.
It doesn't. It just means you got a big loan you got to pay back.
Right.
So mismatched furniture, and and we launched. But what I did have at that time, and I'm just forever thankful, was I was talented, and I worked hard. So that allowed my customers to sit on the thrift store furniture. That allowed them to not have no TV or nothing like that, and let us grow into a powerhouse salon. I mean, our salon, it's not bragging, it's just facts. We changed the culture in the city. In a 10-year run, the effects of what I did in that salon, I still see them 8 years later. 2 of the people that was on my final team, one just decided to scale back her salon. The other one owns a salon. So I'm super proud of that period. What I thought would be, it's called Rhythm Hair Studio. I thought Rhythm would, so much so I got it tatted. My logo is tatted on my arm.
I love it.
I thought it would be like it. I didn't realize it would be this second, third act that would happen. But right at about 2015, we toughed through. Well, going back, another event, it's a theme, was 07, 08. But the housing crisis. And I live in a city, Aflac, Total Systems, Blue Cross, military, all affected by this 708. So I had to live in a salon. About a year. People would joke, make you laugh. They'd be like, "Wait, you're always on time." And I'm like,
I just rolled out the back. That's why.
I'm back down there full time. I'm pretty much on time every day. And nobody knew. My mom didn't know. My little brother was at college. My folks had divorced, so I wasn't even speaking to one side of the family for real. And my assistant didn't even know. So I just shut it down at about 7, because I had to decide between my place and the salon, because the money dried up so quickly. And there was nothing else coming in. I was full time, shout out to people that are doing 2 different things. I didn't have anything else. It was just a salon. So a salon could get me a house, but a house couldn't get me a salon, right?
No, exactly. My God, those are some major like hurdles that you had to overcome. But yet you still thrived. You still continued. You didn't give up. You made it work. You pivoted. That's what we do, right? Like as entrepreneurs, like we figure out a way, and you figured out a way. Like, wow.
In hindsight, what is very popular now, salon suites, or maybe social media, that didn't exist back then. There probably was a lot of different things that I could have done, and I know that I was thankful that my parents didn't necessarily put me in a bunch of art or creativity things, but they didn't stop me. They didn't push me to do sports necessarily, even though I played sports. They didn't stop me from drawing and painting. I told them I wanted to do cosmetology. I think they were kind of looking funny, but they didn't stop me.
Yeah.
So I knew that I had this thing, and I had at least tasted income and being able to take care of myself at that point, 10 years. And I just felt like it was going to be I could, and I didn't have any responsibility. And I didn't have something that I encourage people, man, if you're listening, and we're going to eventually, like I said, shift on what I'm doing now, but you got to leave the ego at the door, because it will get checked. Whatever you think you deserve, or you're entitled to, this industry entrepreneurship period will humble you.
Yes.
And remind you that we got to pay rent every day, metaphorically. Nothing is promised. So
yeah, we got to go out and hunt. We have to hunt.
Love that word.
Yeah, but we have to go out and make it happen. Like nobody's coming on a white horse with all of the things, like handing it to you. Like you really have to make a way. And so you're right. You cannot let the ego get in the way, because it'll eat you alive. And then, you'll be looking back with nothing to show for it. Like,
or you'll quit and you'll revert back to what's easier.
Exactly.
You could always go get it. And it's going to be family members and friends to say, this could be so much easier if you just went and did this. And there's nothing wrong with corporate America. I'm not one of those people that's anti 9 to 5. It's just, there's some of us that are unhireable, and we are dripping with this entrepreneurial spirit. And it's like, nah, man, I don't want any limitations on what I could do. Plus you add art and creativity on top of it, and you make monsters. We're monsters.
Yes.
So it's crazy. Eating Hot Pockets in the back of the salon, like, I'm gonna figure it out.
Right.
And, so I did. And one of the big motivations was around that time is I met my wife now, girlfriend at the time. And, I needed a place, what I mean? To kind of like, be a man. And because I didn't have anything to prove as a 20-something-year-old. At that point, I'm in my 30s. But because it was another thing that was tough too, is I opened a business, everything was in place, and then a year later, I don't know if you were in the beauty industry on that time, but it was so fast. Even COVID happening 4 years ago, I was able to kind of pull from that time, because I realized that most hairdressers hadn't experienced house crisis, Katrina, the towers fall. They hadn't experienced that. So inside of my community, we almost had like a help desk almost. All right, guys, this is what happened during this time. This is what you got to think of. I don't think this is going to be 2 weeks. This is going to be longer. Prepare, because other things have happened to us in the industry, and it took people out.
Right. So you were able to then help people navigate through that time?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think I did.
Absolutely. Yeah. You had that experience. Yeah.
Having the experience of the towers, housing crisis, and what I saw people had to do with Katrina, because it affected mentors of mine in New Orleans, people that I knew that had a small business. So I was on the ground seeing how you had to function with that. And again, this is we're not even at social media yet.
Right.
All of this has happened pre-08.
Wow.
I had done hair battles and hair shows. I was that guy. But I wanted to do my own thing. I had a little success with a salon a couple years. And I said, well, man, what if we put together a show? I was cool with all of the artists in town, all of the DJs, models, and fashion people, and all of the movers and shakers were my friends. All of the rebels, tatted up, pierced up, the outcasts. We was all hanging together. I was like, let's put on an event. And that was another, not just the show, but after the final show in 2009, I had the show on a DVD. And one of the guys that was helping at the show, he opened up his laptop and he showed me the show.
On his laptop.
On his laptop, on this new website called YouTube. Right? And I was like, yo, man, I've been hearing about that. He's like, Ray, you got to get on it. And I was like, what is it? He said, man, as long as you're not naked, no more running around town. In my mind, I still wasn't thinking the world. I was just thinking,
right, across the tracks, right.
That's it. So, July 2009, I'm coming up on my 15-year anniversary, ironically.
That's
crazy, Melanie. Again, I don't get a chance to tell this, so I'm kind of excited. I definitely want to shift it, but I do know I'm at the point in my career where there's new things that I'm venturing in that all of it is not the beauty industry. And it's almost kind of like you want to lead like a roadmap. It's like, guys, whether I do this or not, let me tell you, I know I had a unique path.
Right.
So my first video, growing up in theater, I had a religious organization I was a part of. I was always in front of people, so I wasn't scared.
Yeah.
And, I was like,
I can do this.
hey guys, I don't know what this is. So, but I didn't know what I was doing, but I just kept doing it. And here was another.
What you said there, Ray, what you said there, I don't know what I was doing, but I just kept on doing it.
Kept on doing it. I just kept on, guys, do it scared, guys, do it without absolutes, do it cloudy, just keep watching the lines on the ground. We've all driven somewhere with foggy outside. Okay, I'm still in the lines. I'm still talking about my business. This is free.
Thank you for joining me for part 1 of this episode of the Salon Social Podcast. Tune in next Sunday for part 2. See you then.